All right, guys, we're back with episode number 2 on the rookie tight end rankings. So we just got done talking about Michael Mayer, and number 2 guy here I like quite a bit. It's going to be Darnell Washington out of Georgia. He's a back-to-back champ. Can't complain too much there. Georgia has been dominant, and the
Yes.
downside for Darnell Washington, he's not even the best tight end on his team. And, that's no knock against Darnell Washington, but Brock Bowers is his teammate, and Brock Bowers is going to be probably a top 10 pick next year in the draft class, which is saying something
Mm.
because it's going to be a massive quarterback class, and he's still going to go that high. That's how good Brock Bowers is. So Darnell Washington is the number 2 guy on his team. Now, you look at his stats, and this is where it's a little deceiving because, we just talked about Michael Mayer. He had 180 catches for 2,100 yards, Meanwhile, you got someone like Darnell Washington, 45 catches through 3 years. Only, Michael Mayer, I think he was right around, I think it was like 32, 34 games played, somewhere in that range. Meanwhile, Darnell Washington, he's only played about 30 games total, just under 30. So he really got most of his play this year in his career. 15 games played this year, and the last 2 was 12 combined. So didn't get a lot of usage, which led to only 45 catches for 774 yards. Now, on average, that's about 17.2 yards, and he's got 3 touchdowns. But when you're the third option at Georgia, it's kind of tough to really get a ton of usage. But the reason why I like Darnell Washington so much is every clip that I've seen of this guy will destroy people in the run game. You go back and look at
Hmm.
George Pickens, whatever they're doing in Georgia, they are teaching people how to block. Oh my goodness. He will destroy people in the run game. And you're like, well, for fantasy, that's not great. Well, you're not wrong, but Darnell Washington is going to get pretty solid draft capital because he's going to be an all-around tight end, and he's got really good hands. He's not the most explosive athlete. I mean, he's 6'7", 265 pounds. He's a big boy. He's a very large man. He's not the fastest. He's not the
Hmm.
quickest, but he can still get it done. I mean, look at his average. He's averaging 17.2 yards per catch. Means he's able to get it moving once he gets going. It might take him a little bit longer, but once he's going, he's rolling, right? So Darnell Washington, I like him a lot just because of everything I've seen. Again, he doesn't get featured on this team at all,
Hmm.
like at all. So he's got to make do with what he does get. And every clip I've seen, he has really good hands. He has the ability to really, you know, get through the defenses, weave his way open, and he's hard to bring down too. He's more of a tank than a finesse player. So, what are your thoughts on Washington here?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying, and it's really hard at Georgia to really see the receiving numbers because they are a more run dominant team, and like obviously like they really they really demand a lot from their wide receivers and all of their bevy of tight ends to be able to run block, pass block. It's really set up a lot that offense, and that is very valuable to a lot of teams. And with his size, like he kind of has that Kyle Pitts unicorn size in that like him being 6'7", and that does help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So and for a tight end stats in college, like you can't always look at that and the lack of production. It doesn't always translate
Right.
to well, it's very hard to see how it translates into the NFL game if someone's not featured as much, I guess. So, that's just something to be mindful of because like for instance, like George Kittle didn't have a whole lot of stats coming out of Iowa, and that's kind of how Washington is, like he's still very productive and he's still behind Bowers even, in catches and I just think he's going to be very dominant. He's probably going to go into the mid second round area. So, you know, I think he's going to I really think he's going to be like a man amongst boys in some instances in the
Mm-hmm.
NFL, which is going to be very exciting to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he actually garners first round draft capital. I think for the biggest thing to see with Washington, and like I said, the hardest thing to tell with him is his athleticism, because he's able
Hmm.
to get it moving, right? And
Yeah.
we'll talk about some of the other prospects with some of the other videos, but they've got a lot better stats on average than him.
Hmm.
But again, I want to see what his athletic scores are, because if he's
Yeah.
anywhere close, he's probably, if he can be around like 4.7 in the 40, man, he might get first round draft capital with that size. And 4.7, you're
Right.
like, oh, that's not even that quick. It's not that slow though for 6'7", 265. That's moving
Right.
pretty quick. Like we talked about with Kyle Pitts, he's just a unicorn. Nobody is
Mhm.
that size and runs that fast.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, I don't think Darnell Washington is going to be as explosive and as athletic as
No.
Kyle Pitts is,
No.
but size-wise, he is definitely special there. So
Yes.
it's kind of what he reminds me a little bit of is a Jelani Woods or a Mo Alley Cox. That's kind of what his
Yes. Yes.
gameplay
Yep.
style is. And that's been successful for teams in the past. It's not the most exciting, because, he's going to be used to block quite a bit. But if he goes to the right spot, it could be very good for fantasy. So just wanted to get him out there. And again, I like him because I think he's the safest. That's why he's in the tier 2 for me. I think the next guys, there's potential for them to be able to jump him in real life, like in fantasy football and everything. But there are some downsides and some risks of these guys. So we're going to get into them, but we just wanted to highlight Darnell Washington here, only guy here in tier 2, and we'll wrap it up quickly. We're going to take a quick little break before we go on to tier number 3. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at TDC_Calvin, at Dynasty_Dale. Comment, subscribe, whatever on the channels. Just help us out there. Leave a thumbs up. Any love you could send our way. Any questions you got to, hit us up. We'd love to help you guys in the off season. So let us know if you got anything. But thank you guys. Dale, you got any last things before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. We'll be back with tier number 3.